Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for being here, Mr. Chairman. And one of the things that you know, when I talk to my folks back home, what drives them crazy is every time there's a problem, Washington says we'll either spend more money, we'll pass more laws, we'll implement more rules, more regulations. And I guess I'm trying to understand what the problem is that you're trying to solve. Trying to understand why, if Congress, if you have the chairman of the authorizing committee saying they're trying to identify the problem, they want to solve the problem, that's kind of Congress's role. So when I look at the telecommunications industry, it seems to be fairly innovative. It seems to be growing. There's a lot of private investment. And it would seem that I hear you saying you want to have a light touch, but it sounds like there is going to be more regulation, and more regulation is going to bring more uncertainty. And I'd like you to maybe just touch on a couple of things. One is, kind of succinctly, tell me what the biggest problem that you're going to solve, that, or maybe Congress is going to try to solve as well. Tell me why it's important that you solve it through rules and regulations before Congress has a chance to solve it through input from their constituents, et cetera, more accountability. And then third thing, maybe, can you tell us, because this committee is interested in the money that we're going to spend, what kind of expenditures are going to be necessary if you put in place whatever rules and regulations you think you're going to put in place. You would seem to mean you're going to need more people, which would cost more money. So, you know, and I guess you're also going to face a bunch of lawsuits and things like that. So can you highlight that as quick as you can? I know it's probably not that easy to do quickly, but help me understand those three things.
Sure. First of all, I have been, and the Commission has been, very transparent over the last year on what policy objectives we believe need to be pursued to advance our broadband goals as a country. I think a greater level of transparency and openness about that than anyone remembers.
Now, is that the problem? There's not enough transparency?
Transparency at the Commission? No, I don't think that's the problem at all. What the court decision did and our reaction to it doesn't change at all, not one bit, the policy goals that we've articulated in terms of getting broadband to rural America and all Americans, dealing with public safety issues, addressing basic consumer protections. Nothing changes with respect to our goals. What this uninvited, undesired court decision does is it forces us to look at the legal foundation underneath it, to go into the basement and say, all right, we need to do these things for the country. They really matter. But even though we liked the structure that existed, the court told us, you got to go into the basement and fix the foundation so that what you're doing for all these other things stands up. That's what we're trying to do.
So that's the problem. I get
that is the issue.
Okay. The problem is you got to, and is that not being done now?
Well, that is the process. We believe we have an obligation at the Commission to say, look, this court decision came down. It raises questions. We need to have a public, open, transparent process to identify what to do going forward. A lot of other people are looking at it, and I encourage that. This is an area where it's in our national interest to have all stakeholders come together, roll up their sleeves, get into the basement, you know, get their tools out, and fix this.
And what needs to get fixed? What's the big problem?
Sure,
you got goals, you got objectives, and some of them being, I guess, are accomplished. But is there one big thing that is not, that you got to fix?
Sure. Well, in terms of the legal foundation, the court said, hey, your foundation is broken. We need to go fix it. With respect to the broadband policies and objectives, transforming the Universal Service Fund so that we can extend broadband to all Americans, a vital thing we have to fix.
Is that not being done now?
No, it's something that we're working on very, very hard. The court decision raises questions about the legal basis on which it can rest. None of us want us to spend a long time working together to build consensus for universal service reform and then have the court say, oh, you weren't listening. We told you that you can't rest it on this part of the Communications Act.
Okay, if that's the big problem, all right, now, so you're working on that. Why are you working on that and not Congress working on that?
Well, I think we have an obligation as the agency that administers the Universal Service Fund to work on it and improve it. We have obligations with respect to public safety, obligations with respect to basic consumer protections. And as I said, all of these policy goals have been very transparent and open, and nothing about the litigation or this process that we're dealing with now to deal with it affects our policy goals, affects our desire to have light touch regulation, to promote investment, to cut red tape, to focus on consumers' real needs, to focus on broadband.
But won't you end up with more regulation?
No.
So you might actually reduce regulation. Your new rules might be, you know, less restrictive than the rules you have now?
Our goal is to go into the basement, fix the foundation, so we can continue to work on exactly the same house that we've been working on, and do that in a spirit of bipartisanship and consensus and the global competitiveness.
And what do you think the Congress's goal is?
I'm not sure that I'm not sure.
Wouldn't they be working on the, I assume that Congress is going to, I don't sit on the Energy and Commerce Committee, but I assume somebody there is, as you say, that the authorizing committee chairman are talking about fixing the telecommunications industry or rewriting laws or whatever. Are they kind of, is that a mutually shared goal they have with you?
Yes. I mean, I wouldn't want to speak for other members of Congress, but we work closely with our authorizing committees and have great respect for the chairman of those committees.
So why don't you wait and let them do it? Is it that urgent?
I think success in broadband is urgent for the country. I do believe that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.